Welcome back, friends, to another episode of the Whole Life Vitality Podcast. And today I am here with my good friend, Rachel Hansen.
Hi, guys.
Thank you so much for being here with us today. I really wanted to talk to Rachel because she has had quite the journey. I think a lot of us are going to relate to Rachel's journey because it's been mountains and molehills, right? Peaks and valleys. It's been a whole lot of trial and error trying to figure out what was going to work well for you with your health and your body and your mindset. Let's be fair, it's been a roller coaster. Where would you say everything started for you?
Oh man. So if we're talking about weight loss, I feel like it goes back to being a kid, like a
Yeah.
teenager. My dad was very, very harsh to my older sister about her weight, and it really affected me. I felt like I was my sister's therapist in a way to help her get through it,
Hmm.
especially because it started when she wasn't overweight. Like if you looked at her BMI and her body and like the dumbest person on the street could look at her and just be like, no, obviously she's not.
You're
And
like,
I
wow, look at
think,
that beautiful woman.
and that's what we got all the time is like, oh, how beautiful my sister was. And like she was like drop dead gorgeous, still is drop dead gorgeous, like very beautiful human. And he just like messed with her mind, like gaslit her up the wazoo. And here I was telling her, you're not fat because you aren't.
Yeah.
And like, don't listen to him. He's a jerk. And the ironic thing of all of it is he was overweight himself. Like, picture like Santa Claus. Like, he looked like Santa Claus, beard, everything, white hair, and a big old belly. And it's fine, but just don't pick on other people. And
Yeah.
so I became very defensive of her, but also like there was this cautious line I felt I had to walk where I didn't want to get picked on either. So I wanted to stay skinny enough that I wasn't like, a target.
Right.
But I also didn't want to be too skinny that she felt like she didn't have someone like on her side. And
Yeah.
so it was just this like weird, I don't know, mental game I played. Also, there's just so much like religious kind of stuff that went with weight. I grew up Mormon. I went to
Yeah.
mainstream Mormon church, but my family was more fundamentalist Mormon, like in the way we believed and practiced and talked at home.
Weight play a role into that.
Yeah, you would think like it's not related to religion, but it very much was. A woman's weight dictated how spiritual she was. Is how I interpreted it as a kid. And also her value outside of just being spiritual, just your value in general is equal to your weight and your looks.
Okay, so someone who is maybe struggling with their weight then is not as close to God.
Yes, that is unholy.
That is
You're,
unholy. So
but a
then
man can be overweight and that's okay, but a unholy.
that's what I was about to ask. I was like, then how did your dad make that make sense for him? Like those mental gymnastics that would have taken for him to make that make sense for him to be overweight.
And maybe this is my childhood perception of it. Like,
Okay.
I, I don't know. I just remember my mom, she would fast a lot to be more spiritual, but also I think she was trying to maintain her weight.
Okay.
And there was just like a lot of pressure to be a certain size, especially when you're a young girl, because that determined who you would marry. So if you were over a certain weight, you weren't going to get married. And basically, you have no value to society if you didn't get married and have babies.
Right.
When I was a teenager, I also like fell off a cliff and I didn't go to the doctor because my parents were cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Like they don't believe in things like that.
I'm sorry, you just like glazed over. Like I
I
feel
fell off a
like
cliff. Well,
how
we were
high was this
swimming in
cliff?
a swimming hole. It was like a chemical dumping grounds for like a local mining company. And we illegally like went swimming there. And we would jump off the side of this cliff into this like toxic green swimming hole.
Wow.
And one time I went to go jump and I felt like I didn't have enough like oomph to get far enough deeper part of the water. So
Yeah.
I slowed down in an attempt to like stop and then rerun and jump, but
Um,
my body just kept going. So I fall off this cliff into no water, like, and I just remember it hitting my spine and just like ricocheting up my spine to my head and like through my whole spine, like it just like the biggest jolt of electricity of like a shutdown. I don't know. And as I was falling, it felt so peaceful, like so, so incredible peaceful. And I felt like I'm gonna die. Like this is it. This
Wow.
is my time. I'm gonna die. And I just remember feeling like time had slowed down and it was all okay. Like I'd be okay. And this was my last moment on earth. So fast forward, I'm at home and laying in bed, and I can hear my dad yelling at my older brother because he kind of was driving fast on the way home and not he didn't take any care of me to like get out of the pond. I'm like literally crawling out of the pond, crawling into the car, the truck. And so my dad was like livid at him. And I thought it was like, oh, you're mad because you didn't care for your sibling when they needed it, kind of thing. But it
That
was
seems
more like,
logical.
yeah, like obviously. He was like, you know, you realize that she can have babies. Like this could affect that. And like just all the whole conversation was about my ability to bear children in the future. And like this could have affected that. And like my brother should have watched out for me more. And like it wasn't his fault that I fell. Like, and so I'm just like, how could the accident itself wasn't preventable by him? Like, and that's what would
Wow.
have caused me not to have babies, according to my dad. And my mom was just like there with it, like, yeah, like you could have affected her ability to have babies and stuff. And I'm just like, what about me as like a human being? Does that matter?
You know what
Anyways,
else affects her ability to have babies? Dying. Dying affects
yeah.
her ability to
Uh,
have babies.
wow,
Yeah.
Lauren, you're so astute.
Like, this is a really big deal here.
Seriously. Oh my goodness.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, so
Anyways, like
as
going back to weight, like
yeah,
everything was about my ability to have babies, my ability to find a husband that was worthwhile to be like a great man. And if I wasn't a certain weight, then I wouldn't find him and have babies. Like that's my whole purpose in life and on this earth. Anything outside of that, like intellectual, physical, mental, you name it, emotional, nothing mattered outside of that. It was all about how my future husband would perceive me.
okay, so then as a teenager, did you buy into that pretty quickly? Like this
Oh
was
yeah.
family culture. So were you all in? Was there any kind of pushback? Was there any kind of you noticing this doesn't seem quite right or I don't agree with this?
I was all in. Like I just thought, and I was very healthy because after the accident, I got headaches and I stopped eating sugar. I just like tried really hard to focus on my health
Yeah,
because any little thing would just exacerbate it. And also like I want to have the most healthy vessel ever for my future babies, which I think is beautiful and great, very mature
sure.
of me, but like also there's more to a human being than
There's more to life
their
than just
birth.
procreating.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
there is. I think that having a full and happy childhood is pretty important. It's not just about getting old as fast as you can and having babies as quickly as you can.
so another aspect of that also was like you have to be skinny, but you can't be muscular. So I remember one time I was riding my bike everywhere around town. I was 15. I had like a part-time job. I was going to college. I was doing all these things and I got like this really big muscle. You know, when you ride your bike, that hip flexor just gets like
Yeah,
nice and ripped and stuff. And I
yeah.
remember being like,
Your
Mom,
quads,
look,
I bet you looked
look
so
at
good.
this. I am so muscular. And she was like, don't show anyone that. Don't, even your future husband, don't show him. I'm like, is that gonna be possible? Like, and I'm only 15. Like, okay, I don't know. And also, like, shouldn't you be proud of me for being strong? And the
Yeah,
irony of all of that is like all growing up, we were taught like you need to be tough and strong because like part of our beliefs were the beliefs in the last days would happen, like a very doomsday mentality. And so it's like be strong, be tough, be strong, be tough, but don't be too strong if you're a girl. Like be strong and tough if you're a boy, but be like this delicate little skinny person that won't be able to handle the last days, but still be strong, but don't be strong. So that was very confusing.
that is confusing. You know, it's really interesting that you say that because just also having been raised Mormon and the things that we were exposed to, looking at pictures or depictions of the pioneers, I'm sure these women were beefy. Like they would have had to have quite a bit of muscle on them to do all the things they were doing. But you look at these images, like depictions of them, and they are these scrawny little people. Like the men are big, the men are taking care of everything, and the women are very petite.
Which doesn't add up to the stories of them because like
Right.
as men are leaving them to go join like the Mormon battalion and stuff, they're taking over. They're leading like, their ox cart of wagons with their young kids all by
Totally.
themselves. And I'm like, yeah, right. These women probably could arm muscle. They have to be like made of something.
That's so interesting. Okay, so it wasn't okay to have extra fat on you, and it wasn't okay to have extra muscle on you. You just needed to completely buy into the 90s, chic, like super thin chic look that was popular at the time.
Okay, you couldn't be too skinny.
What
Another
happened if you were
complicated
too
thing.
skinny? And what was too skinny?
I remember at one time I was kind of borderline too skinny. And I remember like thinking, oh, my dad will be proud of me because I'm skinny. Like he's making fun of my sister for being overweight. And I just made a comment and stuff because he was talking about like the Roman Empire and how the Romans and the Greeks kind of liked more voluptuous women.
Okay.
And I was like, well, in that case, I'd be like a real thin. And he was just like, oh, but that's not like, I don't know. He commented like, that's not good to be that thin. Like, I don't know. So it's just very confusing. It kind of it seems so complicated. Like,
So
so I
you were going to be
can't,
wrong either way. There was no winning.
it felt like that. Like, just really complicated. And I
Yeah.
remember coming home from like church dances and like my brothers he would like analyze every girl there. Like this person's hips are too big for their shoulders, and this person's da 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 is this and this proportion and all this stuff. And my dad was along with the conversation, and I was just like, I don't know even like where to begin. Like I just feel like it's confusing. It's just
It
so
is.
confusing.
Wow. Okay.
Super, super messed with my head for sure.
So at some point you left the house. So you were your own authority. You got to choose what you ate and how you existed. Whatever your body wanted to look like was ultimately up to you. You're an adult, you're a grown up.
Yeah.
What?
So I leave the house and like 2 years after leaving the house, I get married. I feel like I don't have time to like explore what I feel about my body because I'm a baby making machine. I have
Mm.
twins right away. And then 2 years after that, I have another baby. And then 2 years after that, I have another baby. So I have like 4 kids in 4 years and I'm this baby making machine. And
I'm tired for you just thinking of
oh yeah, it was exhausting. By baby number four, I remember feeling so overwhelmed that like I was driving the car with all my kids in the back and thinking if I just ran across the median into that semi, like all of this would just be over and it would be a relief because I was overwhelmed. Like
yeah,
I felt very disconnected with my body. Like
yeah,
my body was just this vessel to make babies and my skin on my stomach was really stretched out from having twins.
sure.
People would say like from behind you don't look pregnant and then you turn around and it's just like boom boom like I'm gonna whack someone in the face. Like I got really stretched out. And then with my two subsequent babies, like I had so much fluid in me that like the lady that gave birth to them was like it feels like you're reenacting Noah in the Ark. Like I've never seen so much amniotic fluid come out of a human being before. Like it
Whoa.
was just so much water. And because of that, like not like I see pictures of myself when I'm pregnant and my stomach is just like a torpedo. Like and it's so stretched out that like I couldn't even laugh. Like it would hurt to laugh. Like it feel like my skin is like pulling and tearing. And like
Like
it
your
doesn't
body just went
matter.
back to the same place that it was in with twins, but there was
Yeah,
only one baby
yeah.
in there.
Yeah. And they were huge babies, like 9 pounds, 8, 14, like super big babies. So
Wow.
yeah. So that was that time. So I never really got to develop like how I think about my body or whatever. But I finally kind of came to a place where like I started accepting that it's okay to be strong. And I feel like my husband was very good with that. Like he was just like, yeah, being strong is awesome. Like, why wouldn't you want to do that? Like, that's
Totally.
great. And he was like, it's very hard for a woman to look overly muscular. Like
Right.
you don't just accidentally fall into it. And I feel like there was a mentality in the 90s that like, oh, if you lift weights, you will accidentally turn into Arnold Schwarzenegger. I can't even say
Yeah.
his name.
Yeah, totally.
Like,
Like you pick up a 5 pound weight and all of a sudden you're like, bam, muscles everywhere. Yeah,
yeah, like you're gonna be a Hulk and you're
totally.
like and be so unattractive. And by the way, like the women that I've seen that are really strong, I'm just like, that is hot.
It
I don't
looks so
know.
good.
Like,
Absolutely.
what were my parents smoking? Because that, like, I don't, in my head, I'm just like, that's very beautiful. And
Totally.
so that's when I started getting into weightlifting. It was like after baby number three or pregnancy number three, baby number four.
Hmm.
And I've kept it going ever since. Some years not as strong as others, and some like phases of my life not as much, but I've always kind of kept it going throughout that time.
So when you started lifting weights, do you feel like your mindset shifted a little bit surrounding body? You're like, if you wanted to switch to, okay, I don't have to be super duper skinny, but I want to be strong. Did anything else kind of shift with that?
I feel like that was the only shift I had. So I
Okay.
still felt like I need to be skinny. I still, but not too skinny. And
Don't
I
want to
don't
get it
know,
wrong.
like still have to have boobs, I guess, and a butt, but yeah, like somehow be magically skinny too. So I still had that like mentality going in my brain for a while. Yeah.
I think around the time that you were lifting is when we met. Like you had a
Maybe
little
like
bit of
5 years after I started lifting.
when you, because
Because
your
we met in
youngest was
like,
pretty little.
oh, did you meet him as a baby? 2013 is when I started lifting.
Yeah, I think it was kind of around then because you were lifting in your garage, right? Didn't you set up a system in your garage at your house?
I also like joined a gym
Hmm.
and we did like a outdoor CrossFit thing that people would like come and stuff.
Yeah,
But I did it a little bit before I lived in Texas. So like Virginia, I did it more in there than in Texas. And then when I moved to Arizona, I got even more back into it to the point that I was like coaching the weightlifting class for the middle school and stuff like that.
that's so cool. So you are such an interesting human being. I just think that you're so amazing. And one of the things that I think is so amazing about you is when you do things, you don't do them halfway. If you commit to something, then you're just like all in,
Yeah,
right?
I probably have like OCD. It's like very, my world is very black and white, which is hard in a lot of respects. But yes,
Sure.
like I tend to go insane whenever I do jump into something.
Well, and a lot of people would see that as you're committed, you're passionate about what you're doing. Do you feel like that hasn't served you well?
Sometimes it doesn't serve me well because like there's a lot of gray in life and like
Yeah.
I struggle with the gray areas of life. Like
Hmm.
so I'm very hard on myself. Like I have to be 100% or like I'm not good enough. And I feel like some people are this way when like they're starting in fitness. Like either I have to go 7 days a week or I'm not going at all.
Right.
And it's like you can walk, you that's free. Like you can do basic things like watch a video from home and do a little exercise. Like it doesn't have to be so like all or nothing. And it's been hard for me whenever I have like injuries to deal with it because like in my head I'm like, well, my max has been this or I normally do this. And I have to be like, no, 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 Rachel, you're going to go down 20 pounds or you're going to go like not lift so much. You're not going to do this. You're going to modify this. You're going to like, and so just finding grace with myself has been, I hate it, but it's good for me.
You're like, it's painful to tone it back. It's painful to not go hard all the time.
Yes, yes, very
That's so
much.
interesting. Well, on that note, one of the things that I wanted to talk about today was I guess not that long after you and I started hanging out years ago when we both kind of had little ones still. Then you had some ideas about changes that you wanted to make with your body. You're like, I'm done having children and I want to get really fit again. I want to deal with some of my emotional eating or some of my issues surrounding food. So you joined a program that
Yeah.
can help you with that.
So I joined Food Addicts Anonymous.
Food Addicts Anonymous. Okay, so it's like
Yes.
AA, but for people who are addicted to food.
Yeah, it's the sister program. There's also Overeaters Anonymous, but FA is more an intense program of that, where
Okay.
you're literally measuring and weighing out everything you eat, and you have a prescribed amount that you eat. So the thing that they try to get away from is eating flour and sugar and overeating. So like making sure you eat a right amount. And when you first start, you're also not eating any carbohydrates or very minimal, like an ounce of oats, literally. So like no rice, no potatoes, nothing like that when you first start out. And I lost weight really quickly.
Who
I
dictates
did
the amounts that you eat? Like, is this a set program?
It's
So
a
it
set
doesn't
program.
vary per individual.
It varies for men and women. So,
Okay.
and sometimes throughout, like, you'll find different strings of small adaptations within the program. But I can just give you an example. In the morning, you eat 6 ounces of fruit, 8 ounces of yogurt. Some people will eat 2 eggs instead of yogurt or whatever, and 1 ounce of oats. My sponsor didn't have me eat oats at first. It was just the yogurt and the fruit. For lunch and dinner, you eat 6 ounces of like a salad or a vegetable and 6 ounces of cooked vegetable. 4 ounces of meat or protein. Beans also are included in protein. In that case, you would eat 6 ounces of beans instead of four because they're just a little bit not as dense protein wise, or 2 ounces of cheese. So you could replace that with that. And then a tablespoon of salad dressing or some sort of oil or a fat, like avocado or something like that. So it was just this prescribed thing. It worked really well for me. I lost 18 pounds my first month and 9 pounds every month after.
Wow.
And I got to like the thinnest I had been since I was a teenager. So I was always a pretty skinny teenager. I was pretty skinny as an adult too. I just had a blip where, so that was interesting. I've always like been around 160 my whole adult life.
Mm.
After having babies, I just bounced to that weight. But I feel like I started leaving some of my doomsday beliefs, and that's when I gained some weight. Right before I joined FA, I gained some weight because I feel like it was associated with that. This
Yeah.
need of comfort, feeling insecure about like leaving alone without the rest of my family.
Mhm.
It was just kind of, it weighed on me very heavily. And I feel like my body's way of keeping me safe and protected was
Yeah.
gaining weight.
And that's
We'll take
very
care of you,
common. Hmm.
which, like, I think that's so sweet of my body. Like,
I know.
girl, we're just gonna put some more padding on you and make you feel safe. A little
Yep.
bubble,
Yep.
like
Totally.
some bubble wrap.
That's right. That's right.
So
So,
then I'm in this program and I'm losing all this weight and I'm feeling great about it. And the thing that stopped me was I went to church one day and I remember feeling like I just need to step out a little bit, like with the congregation and all the, happenings. And I like go to like a quiet spot by myself. And I'm like sitting there just like reading my scriptures and like kind of meditating, just kind of like getting some alone time that I felt like I needed. And this creepy old man who had been creepy to me in the past came up to me, like, which was weird. Like, I'm by myself alone, and I'm just like, what are you doing here? Like, basically, could you just leave? And he was like, he said, oh my gosh, such a creepo. He said, like, if you weren't already married, I would totally marry you. And like, basically, like, if your husband died, I would like be first in line. I just like really, really weird.
like, he would be doing you some kind of favor by being willing
Yes.
to marry you.
And I was just like, this is inappropriate. I don't want to hear use that. And he's like, well, some people would say that I'm like, I don't know. He just like kind of tried to mansplain his way out of it. And I was just like, no. So I leave the situation, but I feel so uncomfortable. And it
Yeah.
really brings up a lot of stuff from my childhood
Yep.
because in this like doomsday thinking, I always was taught that by the time I became an adult, polygamy would be reinstated.
Oh my.
So I, if I want to be a righteous girl, I will definitely be a second wife or have a second wife in my family or third or fourth or whatever. So like
Wow.
this, and also my dad was very weird around young women. Like
Mm,
he was always flirting with them and like to the point that it made my mom feel uncomfortable, which made me feel uncomfortable. And I remember as a teenager, like one of their bigger fights was around the fact that my dad said that my mom had to accept that this principle of polygamy now, like even though you got to accept it before the last day starts because like that's a true sign of a righteous person. And my mom's like, I'll accept it if it comes our way, but for now, no. And then he just like pushed it and pushed it and pushed it until finally she was like, fine, whatever. And it felt like to me that my dad was like flirting with all these young girls in this like hopes that like, oh, someday she'll be my next wife. And I really felt that energy towards
yeah.
me. Like
Mm,
somehow I would be his wife, or I don't know. It was just so weird and messed up
yeah.
and like
That's
feeling like,
uncomfortable.
oh yeah, super, super uncomfortable.
Hmm.
And so this conversation with this man who literally has kids that are older than me and he's
Wow.
flirting with me it just like brings up that feeling of like, oh, like I feel like I'm property. I feel like these men are so cringy and like, I don't know. It's just, I definitely was raised in like a misogynistic culture too. It was like, oh, I'm giving you a compliment. Shouldn't you be so lucky? No.
So what happened?
So I go back to my sponsor and I'm like, this what is what happened. I feel so uncomfortable. And she was like, you should feel so lucky. Like, she's like, if someone did that to me, I would just feel like I'm so beautiful.
Stop.
And I was like, well, that's not how I felt, and this is how I felt. And she basically kept pushing it, like you're losing weight, and so you should just be so proud of yourself.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so that was not validating at all. That I'm
So
sure
like
continued to trigger
I
all of those childhood traumas.
Yeah. And here I am, like, trying to do this really, really intensely strict program. And it was like my body was like, no, like,
Yeah.
you're not safe here. They're not
Mhm.
going to support you. You
They're not going to
need
protect you.
to, yeah, like, you need to protect yourself. And the way you protect yourself is putting on weight. Like, that's just how you do it. Also, in that program, I lost a lot of muscle because, like, here I am losing weight so rapidly
Yeah.
that I don't have very much muscle. And I remember like even just like being bumped, I would like move more than normal. And I was like, it would feel, I was very insecure about that. Like I wanted to be able to hold my own. And
Yeah.
especially with like predators and crazy people around, like just mentally knowing like, oh, I could have a fighting chance was always something that brought security to me. But like, I didn't have that then. And so I was just
So,
like, okay, weight, however it comes, is better than no weight. Like, I will be safer.
so small meant frail, small
Yeah.
meant weak, and
And
large safe
yes,
and stronger.
absolutely. Yeah.
So, from my perception, and this is just what I noticed while you were doing that particular program, it kind of looked like, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but it kind of looked like a program that taught people how to disregard their body's feelings and cues and kind of taught more of like a disordered eating kind of program.
Yeah, that's a good way of saying it. Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Because my perception was, wow, having dealt with disordered eating as a teenager and then struggled with recovery from that, then I saw that and thought, this looks really familiar.
Yeah. Well, and also like there were people in it who were anorexic and they had to eat a prescribed amount. And it was basically like they would make it sound like you're letting go of all this unhealthy programming from society and you're choosing to stick to like not being addicted to food. You're not listening to society's norms of like eating a bunch of junk food and like all this stuff. And so there, story after story of people getting up there and saying like, you know, this has made my life better and all this stuff. And like,
Right.
so you're just thinking like, oh, I don't know. It's a lot. It felt very complicated and convoluted at the time, especially after I stopped it. I stopped it like a year after that incident, and I was cycling through lots of different sponsors, and I just could not keep my crap together after that. I felt like it was such a trigger that wasn't addressed, and
Yeah.
mentally all this and emotionally all this crap was going on, that to me it seemed obvious that that's what people should be talking to me about, but every time I brought it up I felt like this weird response to it and not addressing it. It kind of goes back to a childhood wound I'd have, where I'm everyone else's therapist. Like, I'm my parents' marriage counselor. I'm there for everyone else, but no one can be there for me, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, guys, like, I can see that I need this. Just do this and help me. And like, I tried to help myself, if you will, but there's just so much that you can do. And I feel like I gave myself a hard time. Like, if I know what's best for me, why am I not taking care of myself? And
Yeah.
then it just kind of dawned on me like, you're not in a vacuum, Rachel. Humans are tribal, and sometimes you need help. And if you're not getting that help, then this is not for you.
Yeah.
So you just need to move on. So I did. I moved on from that.
Well, and your body was speaking to you pretty clearly. It
Oh
was
my
saying,
gosh.
this is a problem. And actually, as your body changes, as it loses weight, as it shifts, you have to think about how your body holds onto memories and emotions. And if they're stored within our fat cells, within our muscles, within our being, within our cells, then as those things begin to shift, then memories start to come up. So perhaps with a program like this, had you had the kind of support that you needed to work through maybe in therapy these things that were coming up, then it would have been a completely different experience.
Yeah. I was going through like to a therapist towards the end of that.
Mhm.
And I had to like keep moving therapists because I moved locations and then I couldn't find one with my insurance and blah blah blah. And there's
Yeah.
just like this therapist will, if you will. I didn't have stability. I didn't have support. It felt like I needed to be my own support. And so that was something I was familiar with as well. Like, I remember as a kid, like 9 or so, leaving the house one day after like feeling like my parents weren't supporting me, and just realizing like sitting there by myself, like, I need to be my own parent. I need to support myself. I probably need to be there for my siblings too. Our parents are too overwhelmed. And so all of that kind of comes up at this time, and just feeling like I can't rely on other humans. A lot of attachment. I'm sure your audience seems very knowledgeable, but you've probably heard of avoidant attachment, and what's the other one?
Different attachment styles with your
Yeah.
parents that then affect you as you go
Yes.
through life. So there's the secure
Avoidant,
attachment,
anxious,
there's
secure.
secure. Yep. So
And
where you feel really comfortable in your environment because you have the stability of that attachment. Or, if there's a problem that comes along, the safest thing for you to do as a child was to run and hide or to avoid or to, you know, pander to or whatever. And basically you learn how to exist in a way that causes the least amount of friction.
yeah. So I really leaned into avoidant. Like, I don't need humans. I don't need people. I have to take care of myself is kind of something I've always dropped into. Other than with my husband. With him, I'm very anxious attached.
Yeah.
I don't know, which means I'm the mix of two, which means I'm one of the other ones. And it just creates a really crazy beast storm in my head when I know that I need humans to heal. Like, I need proof and evidence that I can have secure attachments with humans, but I don't know how to create that. It creates this very anxious, anxious, and then door slam, and then
Right.
anxious, 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 the door slam. And so, yeah, all that was coming up a lot, and it still comes up, to be honest.
Yeah.
I still struggle with finding a secure attachment style, and I'm getting there very slowly. Maybe at the time of 90.
Well, I
I feel
think
like,
that it is something that you process over and over and over again throughout the rest of your life. It's not this whole health journey, mental health, physical health, weight loss journey, all of it, your body is not this finite thing. It's not stationary, it's not static. It's fluid. It's constantly moving. Everything is changing. And so you'll lose a little bit of weight and things will balance out and your body will change and your cells will change and everything will turn over and your mindset will shift and things will change again. And so you can never go back to who you were at any given point because you're not the same person that you were.
Yeah.
Your cells are not the same cells that they were. Nothing is the same. You're just going to continually grow and change as you process through these things that come up. So, of course, things will never be this like finish line endpoint where you'll hit that line and say, okay, I'm perfect. I'm here. Now I'm going to stay this way for the rest of my life because that's not the way it works.
So I moved to Arizona and I grew up in Arizona. So it held like a lot of, it felt very visceral, like my
Yeah.
reaction to it. Like I literally wanted to like pull out all my eyelashes and eyebrows. Like I don't know how else to say it and like rip off my skin. It was very like
Sounds like a lot of
so,
anxiety.
yeah, like so hard to exist here and
Yeah.
feel secure and safe. Like because it was just this constant reminder of things that I needed to confront. And
Wow.
so baptism by fire, if you will, or I don't know, whatever you call it, it just felt awful. It was just
Right.
the worst. I'm like struggling, like to the point of feeling suicidal constantly. Like every hour of the day, I felt
Mhm.
suicidal. Like it was just this constant like loop in my brain, like I want to kill myself. I want to kill myself.
My
Fold my
gosh.
laundry. I want to kill myself. I want to do like make peanut butter sandwiches for my kids. I want to kill myself. And it was like just an awful storm. And then to make matters worse, my mom, she was going through some stuff herself. She wanted to come stay with me for a while. And so not only am I in Arizona, which is my childhood, I literally have my mom with me. And like she's staying on my couch in our little two-bedroom apartment. And it's just bringing up more stuff. And I'm like, I look at pictures when she was staying with me, and I am normal. Okay, I'm very skinny. I'm on the skinny side. And I look great. I'm like healthy. And by the time she leaves, I look different and I start gaining weight. And
How long
I
were you there?
she was only there for like 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Like, isn't that crazy? I'm just like packing on pounds. She's she's with me and she's helping me like working on some projects that I have, like helping me paint and stuff like that. And I'm telling her, like, hey, I'm really, really struggling. Like, I'm suicidal. I'm depressed. I'm a functioning depressed person because, like, that's how I've always trained to be. Just be tough, just keep pushing. But I'm not doing well. Her response was like, okay, that's nice. Here's all my problems about life. And I'm like, I can't be your therapist right now. Like the rest of
Wow.
my life, I've been that. But now this is not a time where you can lean on me. I am emotionally way too frail for that. And yet lean away, like pulling me into all of her stuff, pulling family members into her stuff, like putting me in the middle of it. And it just brought me back to my childhood of like, I'm in the middle, I'm the therapist, I'm the counselor between my parents, between siblings, between everyone. And like, my body's response is if I create more weight and space, then you guys
Yeah.
cannot smush me like
Mhm.
into the middle of your problems. And like it was my way of like, you can't respect my boundaries that I'm literally wanting to die here. You can't respect that. And this is the only way I know how to survive. And so from that time when she lived with me, I gained 100 pounds.
Wow.
It was in the matter of like 2 months.
Wow.
Isn't that insane?
Well, I
Like the
think it's,
body could just tell you what's going on
but what's so interesting
more
about it is
clearly.
think about what it takes for the body to gain a pound, just 1 pound. You need 3,500 additional calories on top of what your body just naturally burns anyway. And so you're talking like in order to actually put on 100 pounds in 2 months is beyond just caloric intake. It would be almost impossible for you to consume enough calories every single day to actually pack on that amount of fat. And so the body can put things where it needs it based on what it thinks it needs to do to protect itself. It can say, stop with all of these other important things that I've been working on and come here and just store everything to protect you.
Yeah, metabolic rate has to go way, way,
Way down.
way down. And
Right. The body is so miraculous. When you are
isn't that
in
crazy?
line, I tell people when their mind and body are in line and in agreement with what they want to do, the sky's the limit. Like anything can change in your body, but it can go both directions.
Yeah. So not only was I dealing with my mom, that's when I decided to leave the Mormon church.
Wow.
So I'm laying on the couch, depressed as hell, like can't, this is after she leaves. I can't function. And I'm watching this one TV series about this guy. He lives in like Asia somewhere and he's selling diamonds. And a way for him and his wife to make money is they would bring in hitchhikers and backpackers, like, and give them a place to stay, but then they would help sell diamonds for them or be their servants in exchange for like free room and board. And one of the people that they brought in, one of the hitchhikers, backpackers, whatever, he was staying with them and he got sick and they gave him medicine to get him to feel better. And he just kept getting sicker and sicker. And he started, taking the medicine himself and like he would like add it to his smoothies and stuff. And one day he makes this medicine. The couple is gone out of the little villa that they have. And he makes this medicine and they have a pet monkey and the monkey drinks the smoothie that has the medicine in it. And the monkey kills over and dies. And I'm sitting there on the couch and I'm like, oh, I'm killing myself. Like everything I think that's helping me get out of this is actually killing me. The medicine is poison because for me, I was trying to have the medicine being like, you know, be tougher, work harder, read your
Yeah.
scriptures more, pray more, get deeper into spiritual stuff. By that point, I was spiritually like an OCD crack addict, like going to the temple all the time. These are all parts of Mormonism that make you more righteous and stuff. But for me, it was killing me. It was poisoning me to the point that I was not functional. And also this narrative in society that you should always stand by your family and protect your family and I don't know, respect your parents and all this stuff. And so here I am buckling down, trying to be respectful of my mom, very understanding of her. I get why she is the way she is. I get her psychology. I get that she's had a hard life, all this stuff. And the thing I'm getting back from my mom is there's no grace in return.
Mm.
And to the point of like, I was just like, I need to cut my mom out of my life.
Wow.
And so months later, I go to a wedding, my brother's wedding, and my aunt comes up to me and she's like, shame on you for cutting your mom out of your life. And how dare you? Don't you know that she's had a hard life? And I was like, hold on, wait a second. Don't you
Yeah.
realize that I was raised in that mentality? Like,
The
we were
same
very
space.
poor and stuff like that. And she's like, she didn't have enough resources and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm the child that grew up in that environment. Like, not only that, but like my brain was developing in that environment. She was already a full grown adult. Like,
Yeah.
where is the grace here for me? Like, it's only for her. Like, and the irony is, like, I always gave that grace to my parents, even as a kid. Like,
Mm.
here, I fell off a cliff. My dad fell off a building when he was working construction, and it made him be disabled. And our whole life was centered around that. His fall is like a common thing our family talks about. But like my mom didn't even remember that I fell off a cliff. Like it's just ironic. And
Wow.
so all of this is like coming into a head and I am feeling ultra vulnerable in the middle of all this family conflict and my body being so sweet is just like, okay, we're gonna put some bubble wrap around you, girl.
Yep.
Like we're gonna protect you.
Yep.
Because that's the only way I knew how to protect myself. I did
Yeah.
not know how to, other than cut people out of my life, which didn't work because literally I had people who I would block on my phone and then they would text me long novels of how I'm such a shameful daughter for cutting
Um,
my mom out of our life or cutting siblings out or how I was such a bad person. And like, so the only two forms of protection I know, gain weight and cut people out. And then the cutting people out like didn't work because they would always find ways to like find my address and mail me, even though I moved, and mail me long letters and
my
text and
goodness.
email me and
Wow.
communicate through other people to me, like flying monkeys. And it was just, it felt like I would have some space and time and I'd start healing. And my body was like, okay, you can start letting go of this. And then they would drop another bomb. And I was
Yeah.
like, nope, we're going to gain it all back. Here I am in the 235-pound range. And I'm like, 230, boom, back to 235, 225, boom, back to 235. It constantly was like hard to lose that weight. And then for whatever reason, I think it finally clicked with the people in my life. Like, I really need to leave Rachel alone. Like, give her time and space to heal.
How long did that
And
take?
like 4 years, 4 years.
4 years of you setting firm boundaries before they were finally respected.
Even after setting them, though, I feel like they still didn't understand. I can talk till I'm blue in the face about how I'm doing, what's going on, and there's just a huge disconnect being able to empathize with another human. I chalk it up to maybe their prefrontal cortex is not developed because it takes a lot of creativity to imagine how someone else could feel or put yourself into someone else's shoes. If you've gone through a lot of trauma in your life, it's hard to develop that prefrontal cortex. Like it's just not there. The lights
That
aren't
is
on, no one's home.
that is just so generous of you. It is so generous of you to, even after everything that you've been through and them pushing and pushing and pushing, to still take the time to sit back and look at it from their perspective and say, okay, well, let's just go ahead and give them a little more grace because maybe they just don't know. Maybe they just haven't figured it out yet. Maybe they just don't know how to exist in that space. And that just really speaks volumes to the person that you are. And I think that's really cool.
Thank you. But you know, it's a blessing and a curse because it took me a long time to to be okay with myself, with giving that grace to myself. Like
Yeah. Because you had it
everything.
abundant for everyone else and none of it for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if I had $1 for every time you've told me, Rachel, you're being too hard on yourself, I'd be loaded over here.
Loaded. So after that 4 year mark, things began to shift.
Yeah, things started shifting. And it was like when I finally felt secure inside, I didn't have to try to lose weight. Like, and it's funny because if I start feeling secure, it was like my body, the weight came with it.
Yep. It would
And
not.
then I'd feel insecure again and it would come back and then I'd go down and then up. And it was just this
Yep.
dance of my insecurity. And the more I felt secure, the more I was able to lose weight. And the irony is how I ate didn't really change.
Yeah.
I don't eat sugar and flour, and I still don't. Even now, when I have some things come up recently in the last month or two, I feel super insecure about them. And I'm still eating the same way as I did last year, and I start gaining weight. It's funny that I haven't changed how I'm eating, and yet my body is like, it knows. And so I
It
feel
knows.
like
Yeah, it's amazing. The body is just it's just such a miraculous thing, the way that it works. Every single thing about it, the brain body connection and how well it protects us, how everything that we go through every single day, and the fact that we make it through every day, even with the abuse that we put our bodies through, because we all do it. We push our bodies to the max all the time. You're like, just keep going, and somehow our bodies just keep going and they just keep taking care of us, and that is really cool.
I know, isn't it so beautiful that like your heart keeps beating? You don't do anything, and it's just there for you. It just
Yeah,
keeps beating.
just
Your
wake up every
lungs
day.
keep breathing.
Yep.
Like they just are tirelessly, like they just keep going for
Yeah,
you.
I tell
I think
people
it's
all, you can't bully yourself to your happiest, healthiest self. You can't. Like, it's impossible, and everything you have just described perfectly brings it all around to you can't bully yourself into your happiest and healthiest self because your body knows. It knows the truth.
Yeah. So I've lost 50 pounds since then, and it seems like it's this whole up and down journey and just finding that security I need. And I just love my body. Like I appreciate it now whenever I do gain weight. I'm like, oh, yeah, I get it. Like you're just looking out for me. You
Oh,
feel insecure, you feel unsafe about something. You struggle with humans, and that's where you are. I read this one book about attachments and stuff, and it was about an orange and people who have a really thin outer skin is a certain type of attachment. And I was like, that's me. Like I have a very, very thin skin.
oh,
And to the point that like I have to go to extremes to protect my thin skin. Like
yeah,
that's why I'm very black and white, all or nothing, is because like I know that the most delicate little thing could like hurt my little self. And
right.
yeah,
But
it was,
knowing yourself, it took you quite a while to get here, to learn who you are and how your attachment style works and how to best care for yourself. But you do now. And you are, it sounds like you are finally giving yourself the space and the grace to exist in the way that is most honoring to you, to that little person inside of you that was scared and neglected and had too much put on them and didn't know how to function with really thin skin and everyone asking them to carry their load.
yeah, I agree with that. And I feel like I've learned to be okay with my body, like seeing it as like my friend and not my enemy. Like
Mm.
it's here to keep me safe. Like it's doing
Yeah.
all these things to protect me. Like, and seeing it as like a mothering energy towards me or a parent energy. Oh,
Mhm.
my body's like really cool. Like it definitely loves me. Whereas in the past I was like, "Ah, my body's mean. Like I'm trying all this stuff to lose weight and like all it wants to do is keep it packing on and like how
Yeah.
dare it? I'm already going through all this stuff and it won't. Why won't my body do what I want it to do so that it doesn't become another problem? Like in my life, it was a problem. Like, why
Right.
are you not getting your act together, body, so that I can deal with this other stuff? And it was like, no,
Mhm.
no, no. Like, this is my body's way of helping me deal with that stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Okay, you've raised kids. I've raised kids. So I feel like we know toddlers pretty well. And I think a lot of our audience understand toddlers pretty well too, because we have a lot of moms here. But I just can't help but bring it back to if your body was a toddler and you were the parent. Toddlers have pretty simple needs, right? They want to be fed, they want to be rested, they want to be loved, right? Pretty simple
Yeah.
needs for a toddler.
Mhm.
And when you handle a toddler in that way, you supply them with all the needs, then they're happy. It's pretty simple. But when our bodies say, hey, I need rest, and they start throwing a fit, the body starts acting up like a toddler would and throwing a fit. And you say, no, stop it. Well, they either cry louder and they throw a bigger fit, or ultimately they shut down and they stop working.
Yeah.
And that's how we've trained our bodies to exist. So we come back to that space where we're loving our bodies the way we would love and care for that toddler version of ourselves. And that brings us to where you are now.
And I think I would take that one step further. Like I see my body more as a parent than a toddler.
Oh,
Like
interesting. Okay.
it is so intelligent. Like
Mhm.
all the information it's taking in without me cognitively knowing what's going on
That's true.
is insane. Like the stuff my body's picking up on, the energy field, like the electricity and the whatever, however you want to say it. Like my body is a sponge and probably more spongy than some other people's bodies because I'm hypersensitive emotionally and physically. And I mean, maybe
All the
not,
ways.
maybe everyone is, and I don't know. But what I'm trying to say is like I've come to know that my body is like smarter than AI. Like it is the
Mhm.
best parent in the world. And the reason I'm gaining weight was because it is parenting me. It is protecting me. It is keeping me safe. It is doing all these things because it is hyper aware, like a parent,
Yeah.
like, oh, baby, you're struggling. Here we go. Like I'm gonna wrap you in a blanket. I'm gonna give you some food. I'm gonna change your diaper. Like it's it's doing that without me even knowing or realizing it. It's like going one step further. And it once I started seeing my body as my parent, it kind of gave me this, ooh, like grounding wisdom feeling like, oh, you got my back. Like more than that, you got my front. You got my like
That's
you are
right.
here for me. You got like
Yep.
you know beyond what I know. And it gave me the chance to like be a kid again. Like I don't
Yeah.
have to have this figured out. I don't need to plan this perfect diet system. I don't need to plan a certain exercise regimen. I don't need to plan my sleep, all this other stuff, because like my body knows and it's going to do it. Like if I need more exercise, my body will crave more exercise. If
Yeah.
I need more rest, my body will crave more rest. And like I don't have to fight against it anymore because it's for me, the signals are so strong. I've tried pushing through it. I tried all that stuff and like the more I'm like, okay, body, you're the parent here. You know that I need this. Cool. I'll just listen to my parent and like realize that you're trying to give me what I need.
Right. Right. Oh my goodness. That is so beautiful. I think that is the perfect way to sum up this episode. Rachel, that was amazing.
Oh,
Thank you so
oh.
much for sharing that with us. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And I know how vulnerable that is to share all of those pieces of what you have been through. Thank you so much.
Man, that went by really fast.
I
Yeah.
know, right?
Hopefully it feels that way for you guys listening. Like
Right.
just
Oh, so fun.
time
All
with
right,
some
guys,
friends.
like, subscribe, follow, make sure that you find us on all of our social platforms. You can find Whole Life Vitality everywhere. And we will see you next time.
Take
Bye.
care, guys. Bye.